have time to spend with all of them. It also gives guidance on which one to use when. It talks about, so let's take the first game here, which is what it is known as a product box. Now if you want to play this for just 2 minutes, you all have the carry on the bag, right? What it means is the simplest thing. You go to a shopping mall or you go to a department store and you see the boxes there, right? And the reality is, for example, one of the statistics about US is every year, I think 30,000 new labels or boxes or brands are introduced in US. And yet, 90% of the customers buy only those 150 boxes. If you are the person who is going to innovate there, how are you going to make your product stand out in the retail shelf, in the merchandising shelf, that people like you and I feel like walking up to that place and saying, okay, I want to pick up this box here. Doesn't happen by default, right? You are competing against 35,000 other new products there. So what Product Box tries to do is that in a very fun way, you design how your product, what will make people buy this thing. And the big difference is, if you are the development team or the vendor team, you don't do that. You actually ask the customer to do it for you. You ask the customer to design the product box for you, and the customer designs it and tries to sell it back to you. The whole idea being that we want to understand how customer really believes what this product can do it for them. Does it make sense? So try to put yourself in the shoes of a customer of something and say, okay, how am I going to do that thing? So this is one simple kind of a game there. The one that what you see on the right side here is actually these six parameters in how they do that. What it talks about is there are 6 parameters, open-ended exploration. So this is a very open-ended exploration. It doesn't talk about very rigid mindset and saying this has to be, this product has to be seen like this. It's a blue sky thinking. You can really go and do whatever you want to do. It takes some, not a very low but not a very high, scalability, customer participation, market, and then. The key thing about innovation games is every single activity involves customers. You don't do it sitting in your own office there. Right? In fact, if you're familiar with Lean Startup and Customer Development Model, Steve Blank, one of the professors, he says, nothing happens sitting at the desk. You have to really step out and really talk to the customers. So this is about the product box here. The second one is again a very simple thing which Luke calls as show and tell. So if you have a product there, you just bring it there and say, okay, I think this cell phone, I think this laser pointer, I use it, I can write on this, I can use it on my tablet, I can do multiple things on that, I can also pick my ear if I have to do, I mean, like you can really create that. So that's how you actually create a lot of stuff there. And the whole idea is you try to see what really lights up people's mind, what really lights up other people when they listen to them. You look at their responses and wow, I never thought of that. I never really thought that this product would really be used for this purposes, right? So people are really looking at these mechanisms to involve customers and be a part of the whole ideation process, be a part of the whole thought process, that it works for them. And show and tell is really very simple. All it says is you ask the customers to bring examples of whatever they have, not the products that you have created, but what they have created by the products that you have created. Because that's the way you understand. You tell somebody, oh, I've developed a software that does the accounting for you. What you want to know is the customer says, I actually I cannot generate the invoice for that. Now you say, okay, why do you want the invoice? We have already given you the standard report. So you don't understand our business. That's the way we have to do. That's when the light bulb goes on, right? When does the learning happen? The learning happens when there is a difference between expectation and reality. That's when the learning happens, right? And that's the only way to bridge that gap there. Who is using it? These are only 2. I think we've run out of time. I won't have time, but I'll be happy to have any. There are a lot of companies that are trying to do that. They are using it for multiple ways. VeriSign, SAP, Google, Ticketmaster. My last company at Yahoo was using it. Qualcomm is a big believer in that. They're using it. Finally, do they work? I think the best way is to have some fun. The best way would be to play it. All you are spending is 2 hours of your team's time having some fun in that process. And if nothing else, the team at least will have some fun, right? They'll say, okay, I think we had a good time there, and do that thing. So go through that website, you will get a lot of information about it. Most of it is do it yourself, so you can actually do that. You don't need, but there are people who will charge a lot of money and they can actually do it for you as well. because there are like certified instructors who can do it for you. So I just wanted to give a very brief intro on innovation games. I initially thought we'd try and have some games there. I think we've run out of time, so
how much time does the game take?
I just need 5 minutes if you guys are okay with that. Just for the sake of it.
Yeah, go ahead. Side.
Okay, thanks a lot. Thank you. So why don't we do one thing? You all have this bag there. Why don't you make groups of 3 people and just design the box for a product, anything. I mean, it could be an iPhone, it could be a Jaguar car, it could be anything that you want to do, and try to be. Don't worry about it. These bags, I know what will happen to them. So it's better.
Why not the bag for our next 2015 one?
Okay, so design a bag for 2015 conference and say how does it going to look like, and just work as a team in like very quick iteration for 2 minutes, and let's see. And then at the end of that, the team can just go and say, okay, I would like to attend this conference because this bag is so sexy, right? I mean, can we do that kind of stuff?
Yes.
Can we do that for next 3 minutes? Just work with your neighbors and come up with something and see the amount of fun and the ideas that happen there. Again, there are no wrong answers for that.
So the name, right? Personalized invite. In the back. Normally, invites.
Okay. Yeah. So you want to write something? Why should I buy this? Okay, you have to try and sell it to me. Why should I buy that? I will be a skeptic buyer of your product. So I promise to give you a hard time, right? So you have to tell me why should I buy it.
Raw moments.
So we will try to have one of the conversations for that.
You can write it like raw moments. It could be raw moments from some people. From current feedback, positive feedback only we are taking. Your idea is only it's only positive things. Yeah. What's from the
Anyone ready?
Yeah, we are ready.
Oh, you're ready? Okay. Okay. So can you come here? Okay, can you tell me what's this? Some new product. What's this?
This is a new bag.
Okay.
This is a waterproof.
It's waterproof? Okay. What do you use it for?
You can use it during the rainy season and you can carry out
To make it
stuff.
completely
If you have to lose your products out of it.
Cameraman, side. Wide.
But I thought you were trying to sell me the next year conference. So how does that?
In fact, you can blow it up and you can make it a pillow for
Well, I think that's an awesome feature. You can use it as a pillow. Who has ever thought of that? Will anyone buy this bag?
Yes.
Okay, I think you have a few entrepreneurs in this room.
Shall I?
Can we just take one more here? Okay. So what's this you're selling?
I'm selling cab bag.
Cab bag. Okay.
It's 2015 will be in the rainy season.
Okay.
And there will be no roofs.
There'll be no roofs. Why is that so?
We want
Okay.
so people can use when it is rain. Otherwise they can carry the papers.
Okay. Awesome. So would you like to come for a conference where there's no roof and you are actually going to?
in the result maybe.
Okay. Well, thanks a lot. I think we've run out of time. I just want to give a big thanks to It's a surprise gift bag. What's your bag about?
Yeah, surprise.
Actually, this will be the bag given. Seal have to be broken. It's personalized. Your name will be written on it.
Pixar will be falling.
Here you will be having the signatures of all participants of the event from the starting of the Unicom event. Then,
The wow moments of the people, current people.
then you will be
wow
having a
moments.
photo pics of all people who have participated till now. Then you'll be having the codes of all quality gurus,
Legendaries.
and everything else.
So it's all will be.
Will there be beer as well? Beer on the...
Tea, of course.
Okay, thanks a lot. Thank you. Okay, so just one quick question. Was it fun? Was it something that you enjoyed doing it? Rather than somebody would have just come and slapped those things at your desk and said, okay, go and design a bag. These are the requirements. This is a PRD. This is a MRD. Just go and do that thing. Did you all genuinely feel that there was something that you were actually contributing and creating to? Right? So I think the more you try and experiment with that, the more you probably get under the skin and learn about that. So I have now completely run out of time. I know I owe it back to Nitesh. So thanks for having this small game. I hope
So, in fact, he's completed well within the time. Warm round of, appreciation once again. I would, Tathagat has been one of the people who have inspired us also to run all the events. I would rate him amongst the best management minds in India. You go and read his Manage Well blogs and you will know why. Okay, so Manage Well blog, follow Tathagat. And something who inspired me. In fact, those who attended my talk, you would have seen his name in my slide.
Well, I understand. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Presenter, Mr. Duncan Seidler. Oh, great. Mr. Duncan Seidler studied business computing at the University of Westminster and has been involved in various aspects of process improvement since 2004. His focus has been on software and systems engineering, particularly process management, adoption and integration of process into engineering environments. He has experience working with many global enterprises of various maturities across multiple industries worldwide. He is very passionate about tangible business improvements. Duncan promotes facilitating, supporting and inspiring change to enable successful process improvement combined with technology and people-related improvements to achieve business objectives. Duncan's focus at Method Park is on deploying products like Stages to support clients' business goals and objectives. On that note, Duncan, over to you.
Thank you. So yeah, my name is Duncan. We've very much appreciated. Also, thank you to Unicom and to KPMG for inviting us. I think it's a great group of people, and it's also interesting to come together. For me, I'm from England, as you might tell from my accent. I lived in Germany now for the last 10 years, and during those 10 years, a lot of the time, I've been in the US. So what we're doing here today is crossing boundaries, borders, cultures, organizational boundaries, to learn. And so this is a first experience for me of India, my first time here. Though I kind of grew up, enjoying the culture and food, and now I get to come and experience it. So thank you to you for also for being here. I'd like to use this opportunity for me to learn, so you guys are here too, to take something home, and we hope to give you a few easy, simple takeaways. In fact, maybe a takeaway that's kind of relevant. So we're the process people, or process. In the US they call it process, and in England it's process. I had to relearn that. But often process is perceived as the innovation killer. And my CEO, Bernd, talked a little bit this morning in the keynote about that, and how maybe we might consider a paradigm shift. Because process isn't about inhibiting people, but empowering people. And I'm not sure how many people are involved in process in the room here. I'm very interested to understand who's been through a CMMI appraisal. Maybe Scampi A, maybe? B, C? So we've got a half of the room, I guess. Anybody not heard of the CMMI? Okay, so that's a good baseline. What our approach has been, and what I'd like to give you to take home today, something simple, something practical that you can really use, that will help your end users, empower them. You have maybe processes, you have systems to deal with those processes. Well, how can we better support people to use those processes, to follow the process, to audit more efficiently? And so, yeah, that's Method. MethodPark is a company there, been around for about 10 years, and I've had the opportunity there to learn from wonderful people in the CMMI community, in the SPICE community, about how to really practically use process. And we do engineering, so we kind of eat our own dog food there in developing products and systems there in the medical device world and automotive. We do consulting and coaching, so we have lots of opportunities to learn, and what we learned we put into a product, or more of a methodology. And just some practical experiences, well, that's what I've brought today, to share that methodology, and to maybe get some feedback, and start that learning journey together. So, yeah, that learning journey started a little over 10 years ago with Professor Dr. Bernd Hindel, with the foundation of MethodPark, and today we've had the opportunity to learn from companies like Continental Automotive, worldwide. More than 15,000 people working together with MethodPark products and services. With General Motors, more than 5,000 there. Credit Suisse. I mean, we've across automotive, banking, and medical device. And so we have people that we've worked with here in India, and now we're just growing that, and we're looking to increase that learning journey together. And so what I've brought for you today is some of those learning experiences, and maybe a scenario that you can relate to. And I'm really interested to hear from you during the session, whether or not this is right for you, and whether or not you think you could use some of the solutions there that our customers have brought to us. So typical scenario, and this is a slide. This is pretty much the way I start most of my presentations, because it's pretty common. I mean, when we talk about process, it's an innovation killer for many, and that's why it's an innovation killer. Because we're given PDFs and Word documents and Visio charts and PowerPoints, and somehow I have to get my job done and figure out what does this all mean for me. And there's some kind of quality management system that's been around for decades that we know it's there, but it doesn't really do anything for me. And so, how can we help people? And that's not the way. How can we support people? Oh, there we go. Somebody's shocked, they're listening in. So, I mean, does your workplace look like this? Paperwork and bureaucracy, loads of inefficiency. You think, well, there's got to be a better way. And that's what we learn from our customers. So, we're not going out there. I'm not coming here and trying to tell you something. I'm just trying to share. And we just want to start that learning process. And often there are these great models and frameworks out there, the CMMI, SPICE, and ISO, different opportunities to learn. Often they're not necessarily used as a learning platform, and our processes are built around those maturity models. Well, there is another way. We know that. So, I mean, typical scenarios, we have to, when I look around the room here, I'd like to see some nodding heads, or, is this right or wrong? But do you suffer with too much paperwork? Do you spend way too much time preparing for audits and appraisals that kind of get in your way there? And the cost of maintaining processes. I mean, it's been interesting for me because during the last 10 years, I had the opportunity to work with high maturity organizations like the Hill Air Force Base and RDEC, so the defense industry in the US, also the automotive industry and med device, that have been developing software and systems for many years. They've achieved those kind of high level, high maturity level, and they have existing systems, but they're really expensive to maintain. They just kind of slow things down, and they come to us and say, well, my organization is ready to learn, but it takes me 2 months to get the data that I need to learn from. And by the time I get the data, it's too late for me to make the change. And so, these quality management systems and the metrics and the information systems that we often see don't really support that learning. And when we want to make changes, it's too late, because we spend too much time maintaining and not enough time really improving. And so compliance and some of these process frameworks and scrape knowledge kind of gets in the way. So I'm not sure, around the room, could you identify with any one of these topics? Just would like to see a raise of hands. Is there just one of those bullets there that you say that applies to me? Okay, I see 2 hands there. Okay. So, So these are the 3 take-homes I'd like to give you today. So these are 3 customers, or 3 companies, for us we learned a lot from. One of them, the first one is a satellite company called Orbital Sciences. You may have heard of them. They're also building the new rocket there that's supplying the ISS. The other one is General Motors, and the third is a company called Johnson Controls, an automotive supplier. And so, they really, get rid of this. Okay, let's get our hands dirty a little bit. They really learned how to reduce the amount of their paperwork, how to reduce the cost of process maintenance, and really improve. And improve that people accepted the process, they were supported by the process, they were able to innovate again because the complexity of their products is spiraling, and this process stuff was kind of getting in the way. So, the methodology, just kind of click through that all of them used was a system there where they took those processes, templates, checklists, and then they created an organizational process. This might be a structure that you guys are familiar with in the CMMI world. And with that organizational process, they then said, okay, well I have this software development process or system engineering process, IT process, and I have to comply to these different requirements of the CMMI, and they did a kind of a mapping. And then they took those standard processes, and those organizational processes, they were really optimized for those frameworks, so they learned from them. But they were also optimized so the end users, that they could really use those, so they could be tailored and made really program specific. And so, Bill or Bob, as a project manager, is able to get his or her perspective on that process. And that process, that programs-defined process, was then connected to the different subsystems that the end users are working in. So instead of putting a kind of a process on a shelf, we worked with these clients to then integrate into the environments that people had to work in on a daily basis. So the idea is that through this kind of approach, that the process is there in the background. The end users don't really have to look up too much, but in fact, the process steps anticipate or help you to navigate to find the information that you're looking for. So we'll go into some examples here, but of course, this methodology enabled people to learn and to collect feedback, how the process is being used, and to improve it. And so you might have, a process defined in the cloud or, in Visio charts, but pulling